The Kenrad region has become the focal point of an intense energy struggle, one that extends far beyond economic interests into the realm of geopolitics. Russia and the European Union are locked in a battle where gas projects clash with sanctions, and security concerns compete with secessionist tensions. The ongoing dispute highlights the extent to which both sides are willing to go in order to maintain control and assert dominance. However, the key question remains: who is truly gaining the upper hand, and what are the ordinary people caught in the middle of this crisis risking? The situation continues to escalate, making the contest more unpredictable and engaging. Each side is testing the limits of strategy and resilience, waiting to see who will make the decisive move that shifts the balance of power. At the center of the latest developments is Lithuania, which has assumed the role of a small yet aggressively vocal challenger, confronting Gazprom with restrictive measures on gas transit. In response, Gazprom is prepared to counter with actions that go far beyond a mere suspension of gas supplies. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline, long a symbol of controversy, has now transformed into a strategic flashpoint. The pressing question is which side will take the decisive step to sever the connection, disrupting the established energy dynamics. This conflict is not solely about gas supply routes to Kenrad, it has much broader implications for the entire European continent. Since the Kenrad region is geographically encircled by EU member states, it remains heavily reliant on gas transit through Lithuania. Lithuania, in turn, appears to be leveraging this dependence as a tool for exerting pressure, making the situation even more precarious. However, Gazprom is not passive in this struggle. The stakes continue to rise as each move is countered with an even stronger response. This is not just a standoff over infrastructure but a full-fledged confrontation in which the economic, political, and strategic interests of both sides are colliding head-on. The unfolding events resemble a complex and dramatic chess game, where energy corporations and national governments play the roles of kings and queens, maneuvering across the board to gain an advantage. Each action is calculated, each countermeasure carefully planned, and the atmosphere is thick with tension. Understanding the present situation requires looking at historical context. Kenrad has always been of strategic importance to Russia. While its geographic position makes it susceptible to external influences, it also offers Moscow a valuable lever to exert influence over regional politics. Lithuania, aware of this significance, has long viewed gas transit as a means of showcasing its authority. The underlying message from Vilnius is clear: access to energy will not be granted freely, it must be earned. This approach, while assertive, reflects the broader geopolitical realities of the region. Since the early 2000s, Lithuania has taken an increasingly firm stance on regulating gas transit, officially citing market protection as the justification. However, it is widely understood that this is more than just an economic measure, it is a high-stakes test of political resolve. As a result, Kenrad has become a pawn in a larger geopolitical game, manipulated by both Russia and the EU as they pursue their respective interests. Meanwhile, the residents of the region find themselves in an uncertain predicament, questioning whether they will have stable heating and energy supplies in the coming days, as Lithuania continues to tighten its grip on the gas flow. Russia has not remained idle in the face of these developments. Gazprom has revived an earlier proposal to directly connect Kenrad to Nord Stream 2, a project that was previously shelved due to economic and political concerns. Now, the situation has shifted, and the initiative has gained renewed urgency. The proposed 200-kilometer branch of the pipeline could provide a long-term solution for Kenrad's energy needs while simultaneously reinforcing Russia's position in the broader energy dispute. Lithuania may not have anticipated such a large-scale response to its attempts to pressure Gazprom, but it now finds itself facing a formidable counteraction. Gazprom's strategic response suggests that this is no ordinary commercial dispute but rather a crucial battle for influence. The European Union, caught in the midst of this conflict, is now facing a full-scale energy crisis, with both sides unwilling to back down. Ultimately, power in this struggle belongs to those who control the flow of gas, making energy resources a decisive factor in geopolitical calculations. However, this war over gas has consequences beyond the immediate players involved. European countries are experiencing soaring energy costs, and Russia is dealing with increasing economic and diplomatic pressures. Nevertheless, Moscow appears determined to maintain its position and defend its energy interests to the very last cubic meter of gas. Lithuania, in its aggressive stance, risks overplaying its hand and facing unintended repercussions. By taking such a firm position, it may ultimately undermine its own influence, as larger geopolitical forces dictate the course of events. This confrontation is unlikely to produce a clear victor. Instead, it may lead to a situation where all sides suffer significant setbacks, whether in the form of economic losses, increased political instability, or long-term disruptions to energy supplies. While Russia aims to showcase its resilience, the EU is grappling with internal disagreements over the best course of action. The more pressure that is applied, the more complex the crisis becomes, with no easy resolutions in sight. As tensions escalate, the European Commission has stepped into the dispute, launching an antitrust investigation against Gazprom. This involves gathering evidence of alleged supply manipulations, analyzing pricing structures, and assessing the impact of gas price hikes on European markets. Consultations with key EU member states are underway in an effort to coordinate a unified approach to counteracting Gazprom's influence. Publicly, the investigation accuses Gazprom of restricting gas supply, leading to inflation in energy costs, and threatens the company with fines amounting to 10% of its annual revenue. However, many observers believe that the true motivation behind these actions is political rather than purely economic. For Conrad, the construction of a new gas pipeline is not a mere luxury but a critical necessity. The ability to bypass Lithuanian transit routes and connect directly to Nord Stream 2 would provide the region with long-term energy security. Meanwhile, the broader European market continues to feel the effects of the crisis, with energy prices reaching record highs. Citizens in EU countries, particularly Germany and Poland, are facing mounting economic strain as energy tariffs soar. European policymakers are struggling to strike a balance between imposing sanctions on Russia and safeguarding their own economic stability. The energy dispute has transcended the realm of economics and evolved into a symbol of global political confrontation. Russia wields its vast energy resources as a strategic tool, while the EU counters with regulatory measures and sanctions. Beneath the surface, this is not just a conflict over gas but a deeper struggle between competing geopolitical visions, one centered on state sovereignty and resource control, the other on collective security and regulatory oversight. Neither side appears willing to back down. Russia continues to defend its regional interests with economic and strategic initiatives, while the European Union navigates internal fractures and external pressures. Some EU nations push for harsher measures against Russia, while others advocate for diplomatic solutions to avoid further economic turmoil. The divisions within the EU highlight the challenges of maintaining a unified response in the face of growing tensions. Conrad, once considered a peripheral region, has now become the epicenter of a broader geopolitical struggle, its fate intertwined with the future of European energy security. Russia remains determined to protect its position, while the EU is attempting to counter Moscow's influence through economic and regulatory measures. The outcome of this conflict remains uncertain. Whether it will lead to a decisive shift in power or an extended stalemate is yet to be seen. Ultimately, this is not just a question of gas supply routes but a matter of strategic influence on the global stage. While both sides continue to escalate their responses, the true cost of this dispute will be felt not only by governments and corporations but by ordinary citizens struggling with rising living costs and economic uncertainty. The only certainty in this battle is that as long as both sides refuse to compromise, the situation will remain volatile, and the energy crisis will continue to shape global politics in unpredictable ways.